Are you ready?
Hello, and welcome to the Whole House Podcast, where you can find home, health, and family all in one place. Our team is comprised of moms from different upbringings and backgrounds, and we each have different passions and giftings and strengths. We each represent a different room, and we all make up the whole house. So grab a cup of coffee and join our overly caffeinated ladies here for the Whole House Podcast. Hi, and welcome to the Whole House Podcast. Today it's Carly,
Kathleen,
Lori,
And Ashley.
So today we're going to introduce you to our new team member, Ashley. But before we get started, I have a question for everyone. And it is, what are you currently watching by yourself only?
Oh, you mean like on TV?
Yes. Something that you watch only by yourself.
I'm watching Monk.
I've never watched
Like
Monk.
rewatching all of it.
I am also rewatching Monk. And I know that Hunter has been, even though he's not on the podcast, he's watching Monk in his room and I'm watching Monk in my room, so we're watching Monk.
We're all watching Monk alone, but together.
That's funny. I'm watching... It's weird. I'm watching Bates Motel right now.
Oh my gosh.
I don't really know why I like those thriller type things. Like, I can't watch them at night. I only watch it during nap time.
Yeah, you can't.
During the day. But yeah, that's what I'm watching by myself right now. How about you, Ashley?
I watch This Is Us by myself.
Yes, I've been watching that one too.
But I don't know if it's really by myself because during the commercial breaks, my friends and I text each other. Can you believe it?
Oh my gosh.
Well,
I don't know if that really counts as by myself.
That's one that I've had to watch by myself also, but I can't binge watch that. I can only take one every couple weeks because it's so emotionally draining to watch.
That's why I'm putting off watching it. I haven't watched any of it. Like, I know some of what happens, but I just finished watching Parenthood again by myself. Like, I'd watched it about halfway through before I had Judah, and then when he was a newborn, I had to stop watching it because it was too emotional. And then, so I just rewatched the whole series, and I'm not ready for such a, like, gut-wrenching show
This
yet.
Is Us is like Parenthood cubed.
Yeah, and I'm not ready to handle that.
You don't get to relax your emotions at all during any episode at any time. It's like boom, 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 boom,
Well,
boom.
Ashley, did you see the last one? Did you watch the
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't watched that one yet, so don't say anything.
I know. It was emotional.
It's better to me. The last one's not so emotional until the very last minute.
I know.
Okay.
I know. I hate how they do that.
So I'll just be
So
crying at
everything's
the
pretty
end.
much fine until the end, and you're like, what?
Yeah, I'm not ready for that. Because every single episode of Parenthood made me cry at least twice.
Yeah, me too.
Never seen Parenthood.
Yeah, me neither. I've never seen
I think you'd
Parenthood.
really like it. If
Yeah, if you
Well,
like
actually,
This Is Us,
that's a
you'll
lie.
like
I saw the
Parenthood.
first episode, but the moment I saw Lauren Graham, I thought Lorelai, and I was like, yeah, I'm not ready for this yet. I'm not ready for her to be someone else.
Yeah.
Well, she's basically the same character.
Yeah,
I'll just
she's
let you
kind of
know
the
that.
same.
She's pretty much the same. Yeah, and I didn't really care for the first episode of Parenthood. After that, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this. These adults don't know how to adult. It gets better.
It does get a lot better. And it's very, like, emotionally involved, which I like.
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead and jump into, we're going to let Ashley tell a little bit of her story. Where would you like to start?
Oh, dear. I have no idea. you would think I would know where to start, but I don't.
Well, and I don't actually know all that much about you, so let's start.
About how long she's been married, how many children she has,
or like,
that kind of stuff.
did you go to college? What do you have a college degree in?
These
If
are
so,
easy questions. I like starting off easy. I grew up in Southeast Texas near Houston in the Bay Area, and then I've been in Mississippi ever since I graduated high school. I went to Mississippi State University, graduated with a degree in communication did PR, journalism, which I'm just now getting to use all of that in writing and speaking and now doing a podcast. So it's neat to see how it's kind of come full circle, I guess. Because I haven't done anything in that. After I graduated, the Lord actually called me to teach. And so I went an alternate route here that we have in Mississippi and got my teaching license. Got married. We've been married for almost 14 years in April. We have 4 kids. I now homeschool, so I'm not teaching in public school anymore. That was a whole other God thing. And, but it was a good thing. I didn't know that I wanted to be a teacher or that I enjoyed teaching until I was kind of given the opportunity to substitute one day. But that's kind of branched off now to teaching the Bible as well as teaching my kids here at home.
That's interesting because that's what my degree is in, education. And and I always had this grand idea that as soon as my kids got old enough that I would go back to teaching full time.
Yeah, that was my thought.
You know, I got old enough and I started homeschooling instead.
You want to know an even different route? So my mom has a teaching degree and she's never taught.
Wow.
She went right into like the newspaper industry.
Oh yeah, that's
she's
she did the opposite of me.
Yes, so she was a writer for a while. Mm-hmm. She does proofreading, paginating, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm planning on utilizing her gifts in my next book. And you write that down about Ashley, PR.
Yeah.
Yay!
So, tell us a little bit about your kids.
My oldest will be 13 tomorrow.
Wow.
And I
Teenagers.
I am not prepared. I mean, the thing is, he's a really good kid. Like, there's just something, I mean, I know people would say that I'm probably biased because I'm his mom. But
We probably all are.
Yeah. So I know it's true. But he just has such a sweet spirit about him, just very servant-hearted, loves to serve people, just
Something
a
about the
genuinely
voice.
kind person. Like, he makes me want to be a better person.
That's
He's
really
just
sweet.
different. And so I'm excited to see where these teen years go because I know that the Lord has good plans for him. But at the same time, you know, like, it's done. His kid years are just kind of...
Yeah, it's sad.
It's
right.
weird.
It's like you're crossing
it's
this
sad.
line and they're not going to be really children anymore. But I will say from personal experience that the teen years are so fun. I can remember people telling me so much like they're just going to be awful. And Lori's laughing.
Lori just snorted.
Lori's snorting. But if you will be honest, you will say that your kids are very interesting teens.
They are. They're fun
able
to be with.
have a conversation. They have a passion. Because I just remember people telling me when my kids, you know, I had 5 or 6 teens at the same time telling me, oh my gosh, it's going to be so horrible. And it wasn't. It was, I mean, yeah, there were challenges. But there's always challenges, and I think that when your children are very, very small, the challenges are more physical. Like you're up a lot at night and that sort of stuff. And when they're teens, they're more emotional because they have all these questions, they have all these things to figure out, and they want to ask those questions when it's midnight and you're trying to go to bed.
Are you quoting my live?
No, that was my life. Just because you said it live doesn't mean I didn't live it already.
They're talking about one of Lori's live videos on the Whole House Facebook page.
Yeah.
When she talks about how her kids only want to talk at midnight.
Oh, dear.
When I want to go to bed.
Well, I kind of had that last night where I spent like an hour and a half putting the toddler back in the bed because
So
he
you
kept
have a toddler teen.
Yeah. He by the 4th time he got out of bed, he comes and he opened the door and he's like just barely tall enough to even open the door. And he didn't open it all the way. He just cracked it, and I could see his eyeball. And I said, I can see you. And he just stood there for a minute. Oh my gosh. And he had a new excuse every time. And he was out of bed 8 or 9 times last night.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Oh my gosh. But he's like, I mean, I'm probably lucky I got 2.5 years out of a pack and play before he was big enough to climb out of it. So, but yeah, I'm not enjoying the twin bed.
Yeah, we're working on that with my youngest. I have 3 boys. The second oldest will be 10 in May, and then a 7-year-old. And then we end it with a little girl who is 4, and she'll be 5 in July. So I'm officially leaving the toddler years as well. So this is 2018.
And they're all adorable.
Motherhood for me. I'm just sappy, very nostalgic. I love being a mom. So
That's awesome.
It's not easy for me to let go of these seasons. Like, no, we're supposed to be
that
here a
sounds
little
familiar.
Yeah.
This is a lot of
And
what.
she always ends up in our bed, and so I haven't really made her leave our bed. Just because I'm tired, I'm not a night person. Like, when I'm down, I'm done. Like, don't bother me. It's sleep time. You know,
I'm the
you can cuddle with
same
me,
way.
but don't talk to me.
Right.
Like, I'm done. And so we've realized now we have to start making her stay in her bed. I'm not looking forward to that either.
Yeah,
Just
that's
'cause I'm
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah. I don't.
They do eventually do it on their own.
Yeah. The others did, so
By the time they're 18, they'll
They'll figure it out.
we'll get there. And I'm not going to complain if she doesn't, because she's the last little one. So.
I know. When my husband's out of
All
town.
you want, because I'll blink and you'll be 13.
Yep, that's right.
That's right.
When my husband's out of town, I let my daughter still sleep with me. I don't care.
I would, but Judah won't sleep in our bed anymore. He slept with us for a long time, but then he moved out. He moved out of the bed when he was like almost 2.
He moved out at 2.
Yeah, he moved out at 2. And then just magically he only sleeps by himself now.
Huh. Wow.
But so that's kind of like a theme right now going on in the whole house, like nostalgic.
Exactly.
Like, where did my babies go?
Transitioning.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Right.
Yeah, I always say that time is not a mother's friend.
Nope.
Right.
It's not.
In more ways than one, because when you have babies, you're like, oh my gosh, this day is lasting
Forever.
forever.
And then all of a sudden they're 18 and you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
I can remember, having all 7 at home and homeschooling and being, not even catching my breath during the day. And I just thought, this is going to last forever. This is my life forever. And then I blinked and that part was over. And that's when Lori asked me, why haven't you talked to me about what happens when your kids graduate? And I said, I haven't recovered from that yet. I'm still mourning that.
I know. I'm serious. We need a support group for moms of older kids.
So, Ashley, have you always homeschooled?
Yes. When my oldest, his name is Brady, when he was 3, he went to a local church preschool here. And on the way there one day, a yellow school bus drove by and he pointed it out because he loved to see them. And I went to say, well, you'll get to ride one of those one day.
Mm-hmm.
And before I could say it, the Lord stopped me. And I just knew I was going to homeschool. And it really freaked me out because that was not my plan.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I didn't really know a lot of people who did homeschool. So I came home and I researched all I could about homeschooling. And I just knew that my husband was going to be like, no, we went to public school. There's a good school system here. We're going to homeschool our kids. We're going to send our kids to public school. And so I was all prepared to give him this big speech. And when he came home that day, I told him, I really believe the Lord is calling us to homeschool. And he just kind of gave me this look, and he's like, you really think so? I said, yeah. He's like, well, I trust you, so if that's what you believe, then that's what we'll do.
Wow.
And that was it. I was like, I have this whole, like, I printed stuff out if you want to read it.
Prepared.
He's always trusted me in that, even though I doubt myself constantly, as I think most moms do. Because we always,
Yeah.
we want to make sure we're doing the right thing for our kids.
Right. We all have
we've
those.
homeschooled since then. He went on to preschool, but being the oldest child, the firstborn, he was very independent and wanted to know everything like a sponge. He soaked everything up. So by the time he was 4, he had already kind of taught himself to read.
Mm-hmm.
And his preschool teacher called me one day, and she's like, we need to get Brady to stop answering questions all the time. And I'm like, well, it's not, that's unfair to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows the answer. Like, don't punish my kid for being ahead.
Right.
That's the exact kind of fears that I have.
If he's this far ahead, then maybe we should just take him out now. And it was my intention to not start homeschooling until he was 5, until like the official kindergarten year or whatever. But after that conversation with her, I realized, we're wasting our money, basically.
Right, because then if you would have kept going in that direction, it may have squelched his desire to keep learning.
Yes.
Because that's what happened with my eldest. She got it squelched for a while because she did go to public school for a few years, and she kind of went backwards because nobody was answering her questions and nobody was letting her continue to pursue what she wanted to pursue. And so when I started,
that's Brady. Like, he has lots of questions, more than I could ever dream of answering.
Right, but they learn how to find out the answers when they're at home. They will, Audrey would research and look things up, and
yes,
she wanted to be a writer. And by the time she was in high school, she would finish all of her schoolwork and then write for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So
oh, wow.
You don't have that freedom if you're in the public school setting.
Yeah. So, something funny about the school bus. My son will be 3 in June, and I have to look for, like, unique situations where he can interact with school buses because he likes them so much. Because at this point in my life, I don't see him going to public school. I probably will homeschool. But he got to ride a school bus at, we do like a Christmas lights thing in one of our local parks, and he got to ride, they do a shuttle.
Right.
And then they walk in the park, and he got to ride a school bus, and he talked about it for weeks, probably months. So I'm always on the hunt for, like, ways my toddler can ride a school bus.
Here's what you can do. When I was in high school, we had a VW van that was the same color as a school bus.
Yes.
And we called it the school bus, so you just need to go
That would
find
be
one of
perfect.
those.
I want to, like, have a van that we can take camping.
Yeah.
Gabe's totally not into that. So, where would you like to go in your journey next, Ashley?
Oh, that is a big question. For a while with my testimony, which I shared on my live the other day, that I'm post-abortive. I conceived and raped and had an abortion because that's kind of what everyone would tell you to do. But through that, learning, the guilt, the shame, and the regret that I felt from my abortion, the Lord totally delivered me, healed me from that. I went to a post-abortive Bible study at our local CPC, and being freed from the shame and the fear that people would judge me kind of opened doors for me to start sharing my testimony. And I had always known, the Lord had always been good to let me know, someday you're going to share your testimony. And it's for His glory to show just how big His love is, just to show how big His forgiveness and His redemption is, that He doesn't leave us in our messes. He always gives us the beauty for ashes. And so after coming out of that and getting to share my testimony, I started speaking in churches and sometimes those churches would have ladies' events, and then they would say, "Oh, well, could you just speak on something else instead of
No.
about your abortion?" I was like, "Yes, I would love to talk about something else, actually." Because I don't want to stay here. I don't mind sharing it, and I love helping other women who have walked that path find their own healing and redemption through Christ. But I would love to talk about other things as well. And so I got to do that some, but I became very just overwhelmed. I had been speaking a whole lot here and there, and it was nice and it was fun, but I was just kind of tired. And being in any kind of pro-life ministry can be very heavy spiritually, because there's such a dark, it's death. You're fighting the spirit of death.
Right.
So being a young mom with young kids, I had just gotten tired of going and doing ministry stuff for a while. So I stepped down from every bit of leadership I had, whether it was in my church or the community. I just told people, I can't do this for a while. I'm stepping down. I need some time to rest. And through that, the Lord really brought me back to writing, which is hard because I used to write all the time when I was younger before I had kids, and then I just stopped. And so it hasn't been as easy for me to get back into, also because I'm scared it's not going to be good, or, who am I to write on this? Just, I know it's
all those
battle.
things that
This
attack
is the
your
enemy
brain.
trying to come against me. I know that that's what it is, but it's been a challenge. So, that's kind of my heart is ladies ministry, either through speaking or writing, teaching the Bible.
Well, and isn't it interesting how, like, sometimes God does call you to step away from things like that? And
yes,
my like natural instinct would be to like just feel like no one's going to take over. No one.
Right.
But one of our pastors has always said that, like, sometimes you just have to, like, let the things go and roll around and see who picks them up.
Exactly.
yes.
Right. And my journey has been so similar. I'm so glad you're joining the whole house, because I've gone through the same thing. I got to the point where I just really even took speaking off of the website as an option. I put it back on there quietly, but I just got to the point where God was telling me, write, just write. So I took a year off. I did a couple workshops and stuff, but I wasn't traveling and speaking anymore, and I just wrote. And it's I had this epiphany that I shared with Lori. I don't think I've shared it with anybody else, but for a couple years I felt like God was telling me to leave the church I was in. And I kept hearing this in my voice, like in my spirit, leave the church, leave the church. And so I physically left the church and started going to another church. But then that wasn't what God was saying to me. God was saying, leave the church and do this ministry of the whole house. Step out, keep going to church, but step outside of the borders of the church and do something different. So I'm so glad that you're joining our team, and I don't even know what all of that looks like, but I definitely have this huge vision for all of us, and I'm constantly telling everybody on the team, like, I can see it in you. You can do more. I see all this in you. I'm always poking Carly. Come on, Carly, I see this in you. Lori, I see you speaking to women. I see you doing this. So
And that's kind of where my hope is. A few years ago, the more in women's ministry, when I would hear other Christian women speak, or popular bloggers or authors who claim to be Christian, and then they would make these statements that were very unbiblical. And it would break my heart, because I would see how many women were following these women and not because they didn't know for themselves, well, what does the Bible actually say about this?
Right.
They're only going off what they hear from their pastor or from this speaker or from this blogger. And it really hit me. For the most part, Christian women don't know how to study Scripture. They don't know how to look for it themselves, and they just, they're getting this secondhand information. And So that kind of inspired me to want to know more about Scripture myself. So I'm taking some night classes now. I just finished Old Testament survey. I'm about to start New Testament next week. And so that way I know that whatever I speak or whatever I teach, that I'm teaching truth, but I also want to encourage other women to just open up their Bibles.
Right.
I agree.
In the presence of God and just read. Like He will teach you.
Right. And you need to always, no matter who's telling you, hey, the Bible says this, you always need to check it yourself. Look it up.
Exactly.
Our pastor who had just retired last year, but he would always tell us that from the pulpit. Don't believe anything I say. Look it up yourself. You make sure that it's in the Bible, because people can be led astray so easily. And I feel like, and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but I feel like sometimes women are led astray easier because of our emotions.
Yeah.
And we hear this thing,
I would agree
and
with that.
we jump on the bandwagon like, oh, this is a great idea. And then we realize that wagon is not going the direction that we needed to go. So I think that is really important. We need to, because when you are a writer, you're basically a teacher. So the Bible says that we're held more accountable, which makes me really shake in my tennis shoes.
Yes, that's a frightening thing.
Yes,
to think how much weight it carries.
Right, and that's why I do like the word a year. I don't know if you've heard of that, like where you pick the Holy Spirit picks the word. And my word this year is study. And I'm like, study everything, no matter what it is, about health, about eating, about the Bible. It's just study everything and make sure you know what you're talking about. So I'm on the same page you are.
That's good.
Well,
So that's kind of where the journey is now.
that's exciting. And I think we're all really excited that you've joined our team.
Yep.
And we're glad you could join us today.
And you're going to Haiti soon, right? Are you going?
In August.
Yeah.
In August.
I'm leaving this will be my third time to get to go.
I love the pictures that you share from your trips there.
I have a friend in Haiti right now.
They are amazing.
Yeah.
Last year was by far the best year. So when I was first asked to go 3 years ago, it was to lead a motherhood seminar, because there they don't have access to the internet in the way that we do. Most of the women out in this village, and there's no what to expect when you're expecting in Haiti.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
their nutrition needs are going to be different than ours because of what food they actually have available in their villages. You know, there's no Walmart.
Yeah.
And there's not even a whole lot of markets where they can just go run and get whatever they need. So I went and I led a motherhood seminar for 4 days using great videos this other missions company had made. And I had an interpreter. And then at the end of the week, we have a feet washing ceremony where we remind these women that, you know, God chose them to be the mothers to these children. You know, because adoption isn't like it is here. It's so different than what we're used to. So that was a challenge for me, because I didn't realize just how different the culture was.
Yeah.
And so we wash their feet and we pray over their bellies and their babies and their delivery. And it is just a beautiful time. And then we give them gifts to leave with, like baby carriers, receiving blankets, a little toy for their baby, just things that they can use that will take up a lot of room in their homes, because their homes are quite different than our homes, to say the least. And last year while I was there, the medical clinic, that's where a friend of ours from our church, he and his wife lead this place called Hope Center. And they have women come in all the time to give birth in the medical clinic. And last year while I was there, I got to help deliver 2 babies, which was
really cool.
phenomenal.
I was hoping you were going to tell that story. I'm like, I love that story.
Yeah, like that was, I would love to just like quit everything and just go be a midwife.
Oh, man.
I've had 4 C-sections, so, I mean, I've never even given birth vaginally. I mean, just all these complications. And so to get to experience that as well, and just, you know, there's no medication there except for maybe something like ibuprofen. These women are doing it all natural. There's no air conditioning in this room. It's hot and sweaty. And
That's
it
cool.
was just the most beautiful experience outside of my own children's birth.
Wow.
But it was just incredible.
You should see the pictures, like seriously.
I'll have to look them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
it was amazing. So I can't wait to go back, and I'm praying I get to deliver at least one other child.
That's really cool.
I want to go and deliver a child now.
No, I
I was like, maybe I should just be a midwife.
I think I would really love to be like a midwife or a doula, but I've never ever been interested in like any type of medical training, and I don't think I would be very well equipped if I'm not like, I don't have like a nursing degree or something.
Yeah. And that's how I was. It's like, I've never had, I don't have a very strong stomach for like lots of bloody things, but getting to go to this clinic in Haiti, it was just different while I was there. Like,
That's
I couldn't
cool.
see myself working in a medical clinic here, obviously, because I know my calling here is to be a homeschool mom to my children. They're my primary ministry, but getting to deliver that first baby, it was just like, wow, God made our bodies so incredible. Like, this is just a miracle. Like,
That's so
I don't know, it
amazing.
was just
Yeah.
incredible. So
Yeah.
That's
I'm
awesome.
ready to go back.
I want to go with you. I wish I was local.
But we'll have the T-shirt.
Well, Ashley, we're really glad you could join us, and thanks for sharing some of your stories. And could you tell everyone who's listening to the podcast where they can find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram at ashley.sigrist. Do I need to spell my name?
You can, but we'll be able to link everything.
You'll probably want to link it because
Yeah.
no one ever pronounces it right, so I don't know if anyone can spell
It's
it.
Seagrass, right?
But it's ashley.sigrist on Instagram, and that's where I'm more interactive because I like how it has more of a personal feel, I
Yeah.
guess, with the stories and all. And on Facebook, I have a page called Ashley Sigrist, A Lively Faith.
Cool.
And
Well-
you can find her on the whole
Yeah,
house
you can
Facebook
find her.
page.
Yes.
Now as part of
At
our
the whole
team.
house- at a whole house. The whole house, sorry. As well. And hopefully my blog will be up and going again soon. It's kind of just been sitting there, sadly, feeling neglected.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us here at the Whole House. And if you want to know anything more about us, feel free to message. And we look forward to bringing you more of Ashley's stories and more of our stories on future podcasts. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, and welcome back to the Whole House. It's Carly.
Lori.
Amory. Kathleen.
Jessica.
And we are here today to introduce our new team member, Jessica, to you. And we're very excited. So let's start off with a question, and it is, what is your favorite flower? Because we're just beginning to get flowers here for
Oh,
spring.
that's a tough
Ooh,
one.
lilacs. I love how they smell, and they're purple, which is my favorite color. Sorry, I already knew the answer to that.
Wait a minute, you stole my answer.
I also like lilies, so all kinds of lilies.
Is lavender considered a flower? Because
Sure.
that's my favorite, because I just love the smell of lavender, and I have a lot of lavender
Did you know
growing.
there is a lavender farm locally?
No, I did not
Yeah.
know that.
Lavender
I want to
makes
go.
lavender.
Yeah. I'm looking at doing some, stuff with them maybe in the future.
Okay, let me know. I want to come.
Okay.
Okay, we're going down a rabbit hole here.
Yes, don't invite me. I don't like
Okay,
that.
we won't take you.
It makes my head hurt.
Uninvited.
Okay.
My favorite is tulips. Because they're my mom's favorite, so I grew up liking tulips. And then a while back, I think Ann Voskamp did a post about tulips and how just they represent so much new growth in the spring, and they slumber under the ground through the winter, and then they come up. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
I like, tulips are pretty.
Yeah,
I have tulips planted in pots in there.
I need some.
I was actually going to say tulips also, just because they do. You see them and you know that spring's just right around the corner.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel the same
Yes.
way about daffodils.
It's like the end of the dark gray tunnel.
I like daffodils too for that purpose because they don't care if it snows again.
Favorite flower.
They come back up. What's your favorite flower?
I like hydrangeas and peonies.
Oh yeah,
Those are my
I love
favorites.
those too, and I have those growing too.
Did you know that you can change the color of hydrangeas with the acidity of the ground?
Is that how they change
Like you
the
can put pennies in your dirt to make it more acidic.
Because mine come up blue.
That too.
I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I just know you can. They're different colors based on the
There's a
acidity
use
of the
for all
dirt.
my pennies that are lying around.
We're great at giving information, but not knowing how to use it.
So FYI, this year I decided to not do any vegetables, and I'm just going to turn my garden into a wildflower patch.
That's the best.
Bees.
Yay!
Bring back the bees.
Bring it back to
Except
peas.
JR is afraid of bees because
Honeybees aren't scary.
he's afraid of all of them.
Yeah.
He's had a bad reaction to some. So
Sorry, JR. I like bees.
I do too. They're useful, but
I like bees, but I will smush them if they land in my children.
I will smash them in between my
Yes.
fingers if they land on a child.
Your children might be the most.
I do
afraid of
let them
bugs
drink
I've
out
ever
of the
seen.
pool.
Just bees. Moira loves bugs. They found a cockroach in my house. I don't know if that
Like a
makes
wood
any
roach,
sense.
probably?
Yeah, a wood roach, and they were like following it around, and I was like, "You are freaking me out."
Emery lives in the woods.
I live in the
so
woods.
I had those
No,
growing up.
I'm sorry, but Cecilia told me yesterday she lives on Styx Road.
Yeah, I think she needs the sticks. I
Love
think her
sticks.
grandpa told her that she lives out in the sticks, which is not even true.
I mean, it's a little bit true.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, I'll take you.
Okay, I have a story I want to tell really quick related to my children and bugs and stuff. Okay, so I went down in my basement the other day to get some some summer clothes out for my girls, and Moira came down with me, and Cecilia was following us down slowly, and Moira went to one side of my basement. She was like, "Look, a bird!" And so I thought she was talking like out the window, and I was like, "There's a bird out the window." She's like, "No, right there!" And she pointed up to the ceiling, and I came over. I was like, "Are you sure it's not a bug?" She's like, "No, it's a bird." I looked up. I didn't see a bird. I didn't see anything. I was like, "It must have just been like a big bug that flew by." And she was like, "A bird." So we went back upstairs, didn't even think about it. This morning, I was getting ready to get into my shower, and it sounded like there was something underneath my shower. And I was like, what the heck is going on? So I listened to it for a while, and I was like, it's either in the walls or in the basement. So I went down in the basement, and sure enough, there was this huge black bird flying around. Where was it?
Where was it when you didn't
I
see
don't know. I don't know when I did, but she saw a bird. So then I had to it was fluttering around too much for me to walk. I was afraid it would attack my head because it was so upset if I walked underneath of it. So I had to go down around outside to unlock the door to open it up. And I left it open all morning until I left. I hope it left, but who knows?
Oh my gosh.
I have bats in my attic.
Really?
Yeah, we keep trying to rid them. Like, we wait until nighttime, and we fixed one side, because they get under the lattice on at the ends of the house.
Yeah.
And we fixed the one side. We put like a mesh.
Yeah. So
over it
They can
to
get
get
in
them out.
anywhere.
I don't even know.
But we can't. The other side is like 30 feet in the air. So because of the way our house sits, so I can hear them above my room at nighttime
Making
scratching.
Oh my
and last night I could hear the little the
my
noise
gosh.
that
Yeah.
they make. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get to sleep.
I always had that because at the house my parents built, mine and my sister's bedrooms were upstairs. And then we got squirrels in the attic. And so I would hear this all the time above my room, and they didn't believe me until a squirrel got out of the attic and got into the house. And we had to corral it out the front door with blankets. And sounds absurd. You're flying squirrels.
Oh my flying squirrel! Yeah. People who don't live in West Virginia and listening to us are going to be like, "What the heck?
Yeah.
What
Actually, you have.
Even Ashley's gonna be like,
Yeah,
squirrels get in your house.
there's a bird in your basement."
So let's go ahead and jump right into Jessica's story. We're glad you're here, and so tell us a little bit about where you're from.
I'm from Morgantown, born and raised. I am 36. I've been with my husband since I was 17 years old, so we weren't high school sweethearts, but I met him just as I was getting ready to graduate. He's from Ohio. Fell madly in love. That was the end of the story. Dated long distance for 3 years, got married. He moved down here, and we just started a family. I've never wanted to do anything as far as I can remember back but be a mother. That's the only thing that my heart has ever actually called me to do.
We have that.
You know,
Yeah.
you're brave. You shared your age, and I don't think any of us have.
I know. I was like, "Wait, she just told him." Is Carly going to ask me how old I am?
I know.
I'm actually very proud of it. I don't know.
I know.
Just
I'm 36 too, and
Yeah.
I love my 30s way more than I did my 20s.
I did, and that goes hand in hand into my story, actually. Like, I had 2 children. I was done having children by the age of 23, and I let myself go for the rest of my 30s, raising my kids. You know, I running a household, trying to please my husband, getting to know each other in a marriage is a huge deal. You throw kids into that, especially when you don't. Like I said, we dated long distance, so we really were getting to know how to spend time with each other. So I put myself on the back burner for the rest of my 20s, and I lost myself. And I think as mothers, we tend to do that, and it kept me from doing things with my children. It kept me from being the confident mom that I had wanted to be. I didn't want to leave the house, and you get in that frump and you stay in that frump. And I want to say back then, but I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
Way back then.
But we didn't have the social networks that we have now to connect with other mothers so that we can say, hey, we can talk about this. It's okay. We can get through it together. We didn't have that.
Yeah.
So, and our mothers never talked about that kind of stuff. It was just, buck up, you're in the house, that's what you're doing.
Right, just do it.
Yeah.
It's just what it
or
is.
like if you chose to stay home and you don't like it, then that's a problem.
Right.
You chose the wrong thing.
Right.
But we definitely believe that's not the way it is.
Well,
You don't have to love every second.
minute.
Yeah.
Well, but you don't have to love every second of your 8 to 5 job, even if you have that.
Right.
So,
Right, and you talked about that on your live the other day.
Yeah.
That
Right, about homeschooling.
when you have a frustrating day, you don't tell someone who has a full-time job outside the home, well, just quit your job.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what we sometimes get. Like if we're homeschooling or we're staying home, like, well, you're frustrated.
Just send them to school.
Just don't do it
don't do
anymore.
that anymore.
Like, well, no, that's not the answer. If you feel like you've been called to do that one thing, you don't just give up just because of a frustrating day or week or month or year.
But I don't feel that I had a community that would pull me out of that rut.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, at the age that I am, I'm raising teenagers. I want to be that community to pull those women out because
Right.
I can notice it when it's happening. And I just want to say, hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel. You are going to have the bad days. You are going to cry. You're going to cry. You're going to drop your kids off, in the school bus line. My kids go to public school. And you're going to cry the entire way home. And it's okay. Let's talk about why we're crying. Let's try to figure out where we're going from here, because motherhood is hard.
Cat.
Oh.
Life in general is hard.
It's like a tumbleweed flying through the yard.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
We have mom ADHD. Is that a child?
Seriously.
Maybe we need a room with no windows, but we're in a room with half windows. It's inevitable.
A bad environment.
So when I hit, no, that's okay. When I hit 30, I started taking care of my physical health. I started becoming more self-aware of my intentions and what was causing the feelings that I was feeling, the depressed and this and that. And it's just caused me to grow. And like I said, now I want to mentor women in that direction. Jesus has played a huge role in my story, so I want to give women that comfort zone where they can just feel whole. So we all have to fill our cups, but a lot of us don't even know that we have cups.
Exactly.
They're like, wait, we have a cup? Like, didn't I just hand that to my kid? You know?
Right.
Kathleen's told me before, or maybe somebody else, I don't know, that you can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
So, like, if you picture that as, like, you taking care of your family,
Right.
if you don't have anything to give, then
Then you have nothing.
yeah.
And for men, it's easier. Men will stop at the gym on the way home and not think a thing of it, or they'll go for that run, or they'll go for that cycle, or they'll shoot basketball with their friends, or do
Or they
whatever.
go to the bathroom by themselves.
Yeah, that
Take showers. They take showers without someone watching them.
True. But us women, we feel that guilt.
Yeah.
That guilt, and that guilt turns into spitefulness sometimes,
It
because
does.
you're angry at your husband or your children because they're not giving you that opportunity to even pour a drop into your own cup, and you have to set that standard for yourself, and then everybody will respect that standard once it's set for yourself.
That is so important, because if you don't ever set the standard,
Yes.
Yeah.
and you're constantly thinking, woe is me, and you get into that pit of self-pity, and then
Yeah.
you start blaming everyone around you. Because I remember when I first started writing, and I was still homeschooling all my kids, and I would be like, you guys need to just give me time to write.
Right.
But I wasn't honoring myself and my gift, because I would just get angry at them
Right.
for having needs
Yeah.
and
Right.
not realizing that I needed to do something too. So it wasn't until I made a point of, whether it was get up really early in the morning, which I still do, to write, then I was choosing myself and choosing to honor what I needed to do. And then they can either honor it or not. It's not up, you
Yeah.
know, that really shouldn't matter to us. We shouldn't expect our kids to come up to us and say, oh, good job, Mom.
I know, exactly. Yes, no.
I know you went to the gym,
you never
worked
have
out, you
expectations. No, not
you
at
know,
all.
you ate it. You bought some vegetables at the store. Good job, Mom. We can't expect them to do that, because they're not necessarily going to do that.
No, but they will learn by your example
They will.
eventually.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
But they will follow in your footsteps, because eventually they will do what you do, not what you say.
Right.
Well, that thing you were talking about, like, I know we've touched on the Enneagram a little bit, and I by no means would consider myself like an expert, but so in like my years worth of knowing, like, I know about myself that I will give and give and give until I've got nothing left. And that's a Reliant K song, but
That was for you, Josiah.
yeah, you're
Song.
welcome. Amory would have patted me on the back.
Yes.
if she wasn't wrangling kids right now. But so I've learned about myself. They put words to the way I was feeling as a young mom of a needy infant and now toddler. That I was turning myself into a resentful martyr. And like, even last night, I had a terrible day. Even though things worked out, I still was just feeling like this overwhelming, like everything sucks. Even though everything worked out, it still sucks that all this is happening all at the same time.
Yeah.
And my husband woke up sick in the middle of the night. Ended up going to the doctor this morning. But like, I was praying this morning in bed that like God would not allow me to turn myself into a resentful martyr, because yesterday, like last night, I told someone, I feel like I just need to go and be taken care of for a week. And then I turn around and 4 hours later, I'm needed to take care of other people again. And so it's just a constant struggle for me. And I know that about myself now, that I can take care of it better.
Right, when you're aware of the
Yeah.
way that you operate.
Yeah. And so,
that's-
like, without the
That's what it is.
self-awareness.
Right.
It's self-awareness.
Yep.
Right. Well, somebody texted me the other day after I walked and posted on our Two Girls Not Running. She was like, I see that you walk all the time, and I heard you said on the podcast that you found out that that's one of the best exercises for your body. How did you figure that out? So I was texting her back and forth, and she said, I never thought about listening to my own body. And how often are we like that? We're not self-aware.
We're not, and I just spent that 4 days in training, and we were talking about injuries and women. We're taught to a certain extent also that if it's not painful, it's not productive. Right. Does that make sense?
I know. We are
if
taught
it's
that.
not hurting you, or if you're not pushing to your limits, it's not effective.
That's Lori.
That's Lori.
But that's not true, and I have a lot in common with Kathleen with chronic illness, and you have to become so self-aware of your stress levels because of your cortisol levels, because of your inflammation, that it causes you to really meditate on the things that you are doing to yourself and the things that you're focusing on and thinking about. And it just all rolls back around, and you have to realize, hey, I'm going to be okay if I listen to my body and I listen to what God's telling me to do.
Yeah. Right. It's just like the other night, these women were getting together and going to see a movie, and when Lori told me about it, I fully intended to go. But when I realized the energy level that I'd already put out during the day, I finally just texted her and said, I have to run errands in the morning. I can't. I know myself. I can't do it. So I didn't go.
Then I gave you a review and you were probably
And then I was glad I didn't go.
Lori reviewed that movie today on our page, and
it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I've waited to see it because I want us all, me and my kids and my husband, to see it together. And if we have to wait until it comes out on Netflix or Blu-ray or whatever, then
so
we'll
I
do
can
that.
cry.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I went to a movie at a theater.
I'm sure.
It was before I was pregnant.
Yeah. I've gone a few times with babies. This is off topic, but I just nurse them.
Mine's too.
Yeah.
He doesn't nurse anymore, and then he's too loud.
Yeah.
Can't sit still. He'd be like tumbling
I
down the
promise
steps.
you will go to see a movie in a theater again.
You're traveling across the country.
Yeah.
Go see one day.
I should go see a movie like by myself in Chicago.
I know.
Yeah.
But speaking about filling cups, mentoring to other women is how I like to fill my cup, and doing communal work is very, very important to me. So I kind of just rolled it all into one, and that's who I am, and that's what I hope to do from here on out. I'm opening up a fitness studio, and that's what I primarily wanted the focus to be on, is self-love through movement. I can fill your cup, help you fill your cup on that aspect, and then bring in other portions that I can't fill.
Yep.
Well, and I think that like you're doing something that's really needed in the Big C church, like just women mentoring other women not as far along in their journey.
Yeah.
And like,
well, that was Satan's stronghold on me, it was vanity to a certain extent of never feeling good enough, you know, and that keeps you in your house. That keeps you from doing that communal work that I wanted to do. I wouldn't volunteer because I didn't want to be seen out in public as the whatever. I had the vision of whatever people thought of me. Does that make sense?
Oh,
yeah. So, and I think
that's probably even magnified for lots of moms now because
and nobody talks about
of
it.
the social media aspect.
Posting your best self online.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of value in so you're 36, I'm 26, and I think in the past we've looked at mentorship as like a 60-year-old woman mentoring a 40-year-old woman and like stuff like that. And so I think bringing it down on a more humble level of just
Right. The person mentoring you doesn't need to be 40 years ahead of you.
Yeah.
Right.
They can
As
even
long
be
as
younger
they're-
than you.
Right.
I learned
That's
from
what I was
people
gonna
younger
say.
than me.
I did too, especially when I finally, when I first started homeschooling, and I didn't know anyone at first, and then I finally met some other moms, and some of the moms that were mentoring me were my age.
Yeah.
But they had more years of experience of doing what they were doing, and every time they talked, I would just have my ear open and leaning forward like, what? Wait, can I write that down? Yeah. And they were just looking like, you're taking notes while I'm talking? Yes, I'm taking notes.
Well, you care about, Jessica, like having self-awareness and self-confidence. Like if we don't have that in ourselves, but the Spirit is leading us to be able to share with other people, be it younger or older, like we can't do that unless we
No, because I think a lot of people think that if you do like want to be a mentor, if people think of you as a mentor, there's perfectionism in that, and it's not at all. Like we mentor through struggle.
Yeah. Right, exactly. We mentor by saying, hey, me too.
Absolutely.
I know exactly what you're going through. Yep. Not only have I been through it, but I might go through it again next week.
Absolutely. Yeah. And our moms honestly did not talk about it, and our grandmothers did not talk about it. Everybody just smiled, and everybody was just fine.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
No. Tell people you're fine, even if you're on fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm guilty of that. Not literally on fire.
No, I totally understand that. And it kept me from doing things that I could have done 10 years ago.
Yep. That's awesome.
My cup stayed empty for a long time. And you don't do anybody but Jesus and yourself a disservice through that. And your children and your family. Because I'd take it out on those in my 4 walls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they had no clue what was going on, and it was all just in here.
I know.
You know?
My poor husband whenever I was in my 20s.
Right, but you know what?
He's a great guy.
and also, I have learned the love that my husband has for me through. I tell him everything.
Jessica, you have a little bit different. Like, so Lori and Kathleen have their exercise account that they do stuff on, but you do stuff. You do your ministry mainly through like an exercise studio.
I'm just opening one.
I
teach classes now, and I do have the online Instagram account and on my personal Facebook. I just talk about all of my struggles and stuff like that. But the fitness studio, we were led last year to do something. We didn't know what.
Yeah.
And then this had just all rolled itself out. So this, we believe, is where we're supposed to be.
So what is your favorite outlet for that?
For
exercise, what's your favorite type of exercise to do?
Lifting weights, honestly, yes. Because anything else I tend to do tends to be musically oriented, which is fine. I love it. But weights is when I can turn on a podcast or turn on nothing. Yeah. And I honestly, that's where I meet the Holy Spirit the most. It sounds silly, but it is.
I think I could get into lifting weights.
Yeah.
I used to do it in high school. I took like
I love it too.
Class where I got to lift weights with the
She
football
actually
players
sent me
for
some new things that I could do.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And it feels empowering.
It does.
Yeah.
Like I know my body needs cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I like my heart to pump, but I like to feel strong.
Yeah.
And grounded makes me feel grounded.
That's cool.
Yes.
So as we wrap up, do you want to tell? Obviously, you'll be here. People will be able to reach you here at the Whole House, but do you want to tell people where they can find you on social media?
Sure. At Chasing the Perfect Me on Instagram and Facebook. I've slacked a little bit on the posting, but I'm getting ready to open up the studio on Monday, so hopefully I'll get back around to posting more on that account. But
and what's your studio going to be called?
SOAR, SOAR Fitness Studio.
Cool.
We're going to do anti-gravity stuff. That's why we named it
That's
that.
Interesting.
Yes.
Maybe we'll talk about that some more.
Yes.
But yeah,
I
we're
was telling someone the other day, it's not S-O-R-E.
Yeah. But we hope you are SOAR when you leave. We do hope
I'm
that.
kind of excited. It looks so much fun. She posts videos of herself practicing. I'm like, we're doing it!
Yes. So we're really glad you're here with us, Jessica.
Thank you for having
and
me.
Thank you for taking the time to be part of our podcast.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you next time.
Perfect.
We're so glad you could join us here for the Whole House podcast. Please subscribe, and if you give us a review, we might pick our favorite and send you a prize. Please remember to like the Whole House Facebook page and follow us on Instagram at _whole_house. And please sign up with your email on our website, thewholehouse.org, to be notified when new things are happening here at the Whole House. Thanks so much for listening.